Hello and welcome back to the Moss Rods channel. We have somehow made it to the month of September, and given that I have not really been doing a lot in the YouTube front, I figured I would go ahead and do a little monthly catch-up video. So this video will be kind of going over the work that I have done on my models over the last month, and slight spoiler, it has not been a lot. I've just been dealing with this thing that's been called life, and for the most part, a lot of good things happening, but, just haven't had the same amount of time and energy to work on things. I've really been struggling with motivation to find time building, and most of the free time I have had has been diverted to other things. I've been working on my full-size car, not the hot rod, but my daily. Got new brakes, new wheels, tires, did some engine work, so fun stuff in that front. I also got a new horse a couple months ago, so he's been taking a lot of my time riding him and working with him, so that has been fun. So not leaving a lot of time to do models, but I've gotten some work done, so we'll head out to the garage in a bit to go over that. But I also wanted to mention that I have another video that's going to be coming out soon. That was my August haul. I went to a estate sale that had hundreds, if not maybe a couple thousand models for sale. So I grabbed some cool stuff from there, so I'll do a video on that. And I also have a little bit of an announcement towards the end of the video, so you'll want to stick around for that. By the way, remember the deck lid on this car, because that actually has to deal with it. But yeah, so stick around to the end of the video for that, and I will see you out in the garage. So here we are at the bench. It's quite a mess. Thankfully, from your perspective, it's only a little bit of a mess, but if you were able to see over here and over there, you would see it's a lot more of a mess than it really is. But yeah, so again, I guess we'll go ahead and start off with the build that's currently on the bench here. So this is an AFV Club M35 deuce and a half truck that I'm working on. I picked this up in a raffle down at the IPMS Silicon Valley show a few months ago. And I don't build a lot of military stuff. I also don't build a lot of small-scale stuff. But since I had a winning raffle ticket, this kind of was sitting there and was speaking to me, so I decided to pick it up. And what's going to be fun about this is that I'm doing a heck of a conversion on it. There's a company out of the Czech Republic called Black Dog Resins. They make a lot of resin accessories for military models, but they also have a line of firefighting vehicles. So this is going to be built into an East Coast style brush breaker truck. So here's the bed here. So that's going to go right here. I'm also starting work on the roll cage. So that goes back there, kinda, and then here's the bumper. So it's not really gonna be a good way of propping it up. Let's prop it up with a flathead. There you go. So that's what it's supposed to look like. This thing has been such a pain. The kit itself, gorgeous. AFV Club, amazing. Goes together amazingly. It's crazy how much detail they put into these military kits, even though they're a smaller scale. I mean, heck, just the rear, like, each axle was like 3 different parts, maybe 4. And the whole rear suspension probably has like 20 some odd pieces into it. So it's a really cool kit, but this resin kit is just kicking my backside. It has been such a pain, and it's really kind of bumming the mood for me. There's basically 3 main issues. One of them is that the quality is not the best. I really wanted to like this kit, but the quality is really not good. There's a lot of short shot pieces. So if we take a look at the front here, here is one of the lower supports for the roll cage, or the roll bar, or whatever, on this side, and then you'll see that it's completely missing on this side. It ends right there, so I'm going to have to add some styrene to that. You might be able to just make out on the side. You'll see a little discoloration right here. That's a hole in the material. Yeah, the bed's not too bad, but like on the roll cage, there's a lot of short shot pieces and it's all warped. So I'm having to like glue it together, then maybe do like a hot water bath and try to bend it all back into place. So yeah, the quality of the prints is not great. Or not the prints, but the casting. If we take a look at the roof, there's a hole right here that I'm in the process of filling and sanding. And then this also gets into the second part, is that these parts were not packaged super well. And they're coming from literally across the world. They're coming from the Czech Republic. So a lot of pieces got broken. So here we have a crack in the cab. Here is the tank. And all these fins are just threatening to come off. And here's the hose reel. And this whole section's missing here. So it's just, you're doing more fixing than you are assembling, which is not fun when you're working on a kit. It just kind of takes the fun out of it. And also, like, the instructions are not great either. These are the instructions. Photos of the assembled piece. So here you have a photo of the finished truck, and then you have numbers. So here's 24. And then you go and look at another page and, oh, 24, that's this beam right here. Which, it's not this beam, but it's this beam. So, is it this beam? Do I know if that's the right size? Like, I don't know. So you have to kind of figure that out. And then, you know, there's no process that it explains. It's just, here's what it looks like when it's done. And even like some parts, like inside here, you can't, they don't explain what goes on inside the bed. So yeah, again, it's complicated. I'm sure when it gets done, it'll be this really cool kit. But man, is it hard. Like I said in the beginning, I've been struggling with motivation the last couple months, and stuff like this is not what I need to be working on right now. Because every time I do this, I just get upset and don't want to build for a week straight. But yeah, so this is that build. This is going to be one that sits around and, you know, gets attention when I feel like it. So that is that. And then speaking about kind of giving builds a rest, I've also kind of been focusing on, since I couldn't find any motivation to start a new build, I've been using the motivation to try and do older builds. So I have 2 builds that I'm getting back to that I have not touched in a bit. So the first one we'll go over is a, what is this? It's a Monogram 1930 Ford Coupe. So this is a build that I started last February or March. So about a year and a half ago, back when I was living in Montana. And I reached a point where I just could not figure out how to go forward, and abandoned it. And so now that's currently what I'm working on. So basically what I've done since then is I've converted this to a straight pillar cabriolet. So the original cabriolet, which if we look at this old manual here, it has a curved, or not a curved, but a slanted windshield frame. So I have one of the coupe kits, and I just kind of grafted this part on to there in order to replicate the straight A-pillar, the upright A-pillar, whatever you want to call it, on that car. The reason I'm doing that is that this is going to be a replica, and that's also why I don't have a lot to show you. It's not a replica for a person. I would not let a replica for a person go a year and a half without being touched. That's just bad. But it's a replica for myself, but it is replicating a car, and I've been in contact with the owner, and he let me go and check out the car in person. It was a local car back in Montana. It's a decently famous car. It's made the social media rounds quite a few times over the years. When it's done, I'm sure some of you will recognize it, but I don't want to give too many hints away before that. But basically, the biggest problem that I'm having with this kit is that the fenders are very heavily modified on this car. And if I explain it to you, it'll give it away. But I'm just going to say very heavily modified, and that's kind of where I got stuck the first time. I just didn't know how to go further, and I kind of set it aside, and all of a sudden I moved, and then all of a sudden it's been a year and a half. So now I'm trying to get back into it. I was able to do the coupe portion again, and then I was able to get the front fenders looking pretty darn good, but the rear fenders, I'm just so stuck on. I think I might end up having to 3D print them, which I think is going to be kind of a hard piece to print or design, just because that's a very complex shape. But yeah, I guess I'll give you guys two little teasers, which will probably confuse you more than anything. There is the height of the fender, so that's how high it's going to sit on the body, as opposed to stock height. But there's a lot more to go into this fender, let me tell you that. And then we'll take a look at the chassis, which is pretty easy, but if you know anything about your early Ford parts, you'll know that that's a Model T truck axle. So I don't really know why it would be on there. So that's where this build is sitting now. Once again, I am completely stumped on how to do the rear fenders. And yeah, so we'll see if I abandon this again for a year and a half. Then the final build, which again is an older build, which you all, if you're somewhat familiar with my channel, you will recognize. And that is my Bronco. My Bronco Roadster. So this is back on the table after sitting for a bit. And the reason it's been sitting for a bit was the motor. So if you'll remember, I originally designed my Ford 300 engine for this build. I really wanted to add a 6-cylinder into this Bronco because I love 6 cylinders, and plus the U13, the Roadsters, a good portion of them had the 6-cylinder in them. So I wanted to embrace that. So here is the initial engine that I had designed based on the Falcon spec, or not the Falcon, the Maverick. I guess also the Falcon. And then, I've since made the hot rodded versions if you've seen my Mustang. But I did not have a version for the Bronco. So I did design the oil bath cleaner, and I was having some issues with that, just wasn't sure if it was right, but I had some more confirmation that it was. And then the final thing to do, which took me months to finally get around to, was I wanted to make a oil pan. Since this is a 4-wheel drive chassis, you have the differential in the front, and the standard car oil pan would not clear it. So I just have to rant for a second. First gen Broncos are crazy hot, right? Like, everybody wants them, big money. It's hard to find like the roughest field condition one for less than 30 grand, and you can see them for $250,000, especially if you're looking at icons, right? Everything there is to know about these vehicles is known pretty much. But there is no love for the 6 cylinders. And I get it, everyone wants a 289, everyone wants a Coyote, whatever, in their Bronco. Not me. I love 6 cylinders, I love obscure engines, and there has been no love for the 6 cylinders. And that's why I could not find any good reference material for the oil cleaner. I just had to go off of photos of engine bays for like the 2 that still exist with a factory 6 cylinder in them. Slightly sarcastic. And that was the same with the oil pan. I found 2 photos from Bring a Trailer listings that had an undercarriage shot that kind of sort of showed what the oil pan was supposed to look like. I could not find any replacement or any used oil pans for sale. I couldn't find any reference material. So I just had 2 photos to go off of and kind of an idea of what it's supposed to be like. So this is what I came up with. I don't know, it looks okay. I have no idea how realistic it is. But the good news is it does work. I do have to move the, I do have to redo the engine mounts on this kit, but that is it, just kind of lightly mocked up, and it will clear the differential. So I can now move forward with this Bronco, which I am super stoked about. So, I don't know, we'll just mock the body on there a little bit. So, yeah, stoked to be able to get back into this build. And yeah, I guess kind of that's where I'm at. So, other than the deuce and a half, nothing really that new. Again, just been struggling a lot with motivation. Kind of getting the urge to do some stuff again, which is cool. I have a build that I'm going to be starting this week. So you'll start seeing some information about that most likely. It's going to be for a build off, and I can't remember if we're allowed to post updates or not. So you'll either see some updates on it, or you won't until whenever it's done. But yeah, so that'll be coming up. I also have another build that's not build off related that I kind of want to do. It'd be a fairly quick build, so we'll see if I get around to that. But yeah, the motivation's starting to come back a little bit. So yeah, and then one final thing I wanted to shout out. So I've had my 6 cylinders up on my Cults 3D page for a bit now, and I wanted to let you all know that I updated it with the Bronco parts. So as you heard, I don't know exactly how realistic they are, but I got into the work with the kit. So if you're wanting to do a 6-cylinder swap into your Bronco, now's your chance. The price of the files has not changed. If you've already downloaded the files, re-download the thing, won't charge you again, and you'll get the extra parts. But then I also wanted to announce that starting this weekend, so at the time of filming, these are now going to be available through Iceman Collections. So I talked to Joel. He's licensed a few parts from me. I have a louvered Model A deck lid for the Revell kit and a antique engine hoist, both of which he offers on his site. But now he's going to start offering my 6-cylinders. So as of right now, they're being sold as a 4-in-1 pack. So you'll be able to build either a stock 170, or a custom 170, or a stock 200, or a custom 200. So they're the triple carb manifolds, either the downdraft or the side drafts, headers, stock manifold, 200 block, 170 block, all that kind of stuff. I think we're in the process of figuring out the Bronco parts. I just finished these this weekend, so have to talk with him on that. But they will most likely end up on the store as well. So if you're interested in one of my engines, check out Iceman Collections and grab yourself some from him. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Cool to see some of my parts licensed on like the go-to 3D parts company out there. So yeah, Joel's a cool guy. I've met him a few times at shows, and again, I've been working with him for about a year now. So that is all the updates I have from the bench. So I think I'll just close out here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.